So that's an 8-core 16-thread CPU and a 6GB graphics card. We've coupled that up with 16GB of DDR4 RAM, and of course the game is installed on an NVMe drive. We're recording to another NVMe drive, and Windows is installed on an M2 drive. So with that out of the way, what options do we have and what can we customize on this game? Well, I can tell you straight off the bat that all controllers are supported. The Xbox Series controllers work fine, and if I just quickly show you this one, there you go, the DualSense PS5 controller works just as well, which is really nice because obviously, you know, it depends on what system you're running. If at all, you may just be a PC gamer, but hey. So, options, game. We have quite a few languages we can tick through. There you go, I'll quickly flip through them. I'm not even going to try and read them out for you. Controls, there we go, we can invite the stuff, do controller mapping. Key bindings, if you're interested. There's your key bindings, guys. It's a pretty straightforward game, to be honest with you. Display. Depends what size monitor you're running, of course, but we go down to 640 by 480 and then all the way up to your 1440p that I'm running here. All the common ones are supported. There you go, it's 1080p. Resolution scaling, very handy if your GPU is struggling with performance, and dynamic resolution, as it says, will also help with that a lot. I tend to go first with resolution scaling, maybe drop it down to 80 or 90. You shouldn't really notice a picture degradation at this resolution. Dynamic scaling can sometimes look a bit fluffy, but it does work. So if you're struggling, there you two to hit, along with a couple of other things. Now we've got windowed, borderless and full screen here. We've got VSync on and off and adaptive. Frame rate limits to 60, so we've got 15. I don't quite know how you played at 15, but still 30, 60, that's it. It can't seem to go higher, which is really strange. Smooth the frame rate by slowing the game. Different approach. Anyway, let's upset that. No, we don't want to do that. Graphics, there we go. So we can make some cutbacks here as well if you're struggling. Anti-aliasing there, we've only got 2. We've got a basic FXAA. Texture quality is just low, medium, high. And AF filtering goes up to 16, or obviously you can turn it bilinear, trilinear, etc. We'll leave it on 16 because this is the default presets for this graphics card that you're seeing here. If you're struggling, this is one of the first to hit, shadow quality. If your frame rate's low, drop this right down to low or medium and you should see a really nice boost. There we go. And sun shadow quality the same. You'll notice there I was on high, not very high. Flashlight shadows on and on, reflections dynamic or off, refractions, skin shading, terrain quality. Again, you could probably drop this one down to high without noticing too many problems with it. Smooth particles, depth of field. Depth of field you could change to low, that would help with performance as well. Film grain, that depends if you want that effect on or not. It's meant to give the TV effect of sort of dust in the picture, if you like. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm personally not a fan, so I always turn it off. And we've also got contact shadows for objects near each other, on and off. Now these do add a lot of depth, so if possible try and leave them on. And this again draws a glow around the edge of something, not necessary. It depends on your own personal preference as to whether you want that on or off. If you turn it off, you will get a GPU boost, so that's good, you know, if you're struggling. Right, what else have we got? Audio. So unfortunately, guys, it's just stereo. There's absolutely no 5.1 surround sound or anything like that with this particular one. Subtitles on and off, and of course subtitle options there. Font size, you can have different fonts, etc. Got very large background opacity. Useful stuff, I'm sure. Okay, so what does the game look like? Well, let's have a look, but we'll put on a readout showing GPU usage, CPU usage, etc., etc., so we can see how the game is affecting the computer. So first up, we can see that it's a little bit sort of thread happy. It's loading up one of the cores more than all the other cores on the CPU. So we've got one hovering around 70, 80, 90%, and all the rest are fairly idle. So, you know, it could have been written a bit bit happier than that. Everything is now multi-threaded, so why on earth it's loading up one core, bit of a mystery. Memory usage is very good. So GPU, we are on, well, you're under the 3.5 gigs. So if you've got an old GTX970, it's good news for you guys. 3 gig graphics card should be able to run it. One of your modern 4 gig RTX 3050s should be absolutely fine with this. This GPU, the 1660 Ti, is only using, well, at most, I think I've seen 67% of it, so that's doing pretty well. We're not limited in any way. We can stick to 60 frames per second, which does seem to be the game's maximum. We don't seem to be able to clamber above 60. You could possibly do some tweaking on the ini file and unlock the frame rate, but whether or not it's timed with other things in the game could be a problem. Normal memory, we're only on 5.5 gigs, so if you've got an 8 gig machine, you've got no problems whatsoever. I will note that I found the controls a little bit odd, a little bit cumbersome to use and get used to. Not too bad once you've played it for a bit and got used to them, but you know, silly things like moving things out of the way, opening doors, etc. It's a bit haphazard. You know, it's not what you would expect. The button layout isn't sort of memory rememberable. You might want to reconfigure your buttons and what does what. Overall, the game, atmosphere and everything, it's not bad. It's not my scene, if I'm honest with you, but it's not bad. And then, well, sadly we come to problems. This is a pretty big one. Now, the eagle-eyed of you may have noticed that I was, well, I did actually mention I was using a DualShock controller from the PlayStation 5 on this particular game. And it was working perfectly well, no problems at all. It was actually plugged in via the USB, and I didn't realise there was any problems. However, I was fumbling around with the controls, and I couldn't figure out the inventory, why inventory wouldn't come up. Now, here lies the problem, guys. If you basically switch to keyboard and press your inventory button on the keyboard, you know, will pop up your full inventory. You can sort of mess around with your inventory, quit things or quit things as you would expect, drop things, eat things, do health potions, you know, stuff like that, get your health back up as you would normally expect. But if you're using the PlayStation controller, it's the touchpad that's meant for inventory. So basically you swipe down, click down on the touchpad and the inventory is meant to come up. It doesn't. So at this point, I thought, well, we'll give it a try, and disconnected it and basically reconnected an Xbox Series controller. So I've tried this a couple of different times. So we've got a standard Xbox Series X controller here, plug that in, and on the Series X controller, it's the menu button, you know, the double little square button that's on the controller. It's just to the left. And hey presto, when you press that, yeah, your inventory comes up and it does work perfectly well. Okay, so keyboard works, Xbox Series controller works for your inventory, but PlayStation controller doesn't. Now, as the video shows, I sort of plugged and unplugged this quite a few times, and yes, it is a bug. The PlayStation controller does not work properly. So if you've got a PlayStation controller you're using on your PC currently, well, my version was certainly bugged and you would not be able to play the game. It is game breaking. There's nothing really you can do about it, sadly. Other than that, there's not really any bugs that I found. I found it to be janky, like I've already mentioned, a bit cumbersome to play and to use. Graphics are okay, sound is okay, and gameplay is not bad, a bit lethargic if I'm honest with you. So overall, I mean, I'd probably give the game maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10 overall. You can see for yourself, it's not a demanding game. You know, it's an Unreal Engine game, it's not demanding. And the most important thing, there was no stutter. There's no shader stutters that is a very common problem at the moment with a hell of a lot of PC games. But that could be down to the fact that I was running this off an M2 drive, and of course it's not very demanding. It's a very undemanding game, so it could be that. But overall, until they fix the PlayStation controller problem, because I'm running the Steam version of the game here, it is, you know, a big issue. Guys, I hope this little video was helpful to you if you're thinking of buying this game. You know, that's the idea of it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.